What's up, MELD Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. My name's Fareed. As a part of today's video, we're diving into the latest updates for the lending and borrowing protocol as it gets ready for its release on the mainnet. Now, before we dive any further, I do want to take an opportunity to, number one, introduce you to the channel if you're brand new. Again, I aim to provide you guys with all the latest updates when it comes to MELD, DeFi, and just blockchain-based projects. So if you guys want more content like this, make sure to smash that thumbs up. Go ahead and join the group here by subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions about MELD or anything else that I cover here on the channel, make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. Now, in my most recent interview, I've sat down with Ken Oling, founder and CEO of MELD, to discuss quite a bit here. So I'll go ahead and I'll quickly plug that in here for today's video before we go any further. But as a part of that particular video, we dove into Bit2Pay, and that's basically a brand new bank that they've now acquired. There's also been discussions around their lending and borrowing launching on mainnet. We also even dove into and reviewed their most recent code audit. Following that, we talked about lending and borrowing, different supply caps, the MELD ecosystem, which now has over 30 plus different partners joining them here as they get ready to launch their official product again on the mainnet. And then we've also dove into the Akamon Bridge, which I'm actually going to be talking about for today's update, as well as liquidity, where we're expecting MELD to launch with more than over $4 million worth of stable coins between USDT and USDC, as well as Yield Boost, their airdrop campaign, the Bank Manager NFTs, tokenomics, and last but not least, their mobile application launch. So as you guys can see there, it's quite the list. I actually had to shoot 2 separate interviews with Ken back to back. So if you guys want to find out more and actually hear it from the man himself, I'll leave the link to those 2 interviews down below. Now, since then, we've had quite a few updates happen, and that's actually what I want to talk to you guys about for today's video. So we now have more news surrounding 19 more fiat currencies, which will be supported on the MELD app. We've also got the official MELD Akamon Bridge that they've built out themselves, in addition to the bridge that is available and functioning right now for MELD through Chainport, which I want to highlight, which now also allows for you to migrate or move over pretty seamlessly, right, between Cardano, ETH, etc. Any of your NFTs or any of your fungible tokens or FTs. Now, following that, I do want to briefly review some of the supported assets for the bridge, as well as a review of the dev diary, where we've got a nice little tease about the first ever fiat transaction taking place for MELD. So we are getting close here to seeing the full banking stack launching live. Now, last but not least, we've got MELD being added to a DEX screener, which if you're not familiar, I'll break down what they basically are, but it's a quick and easy way to find performing assets in a particular ecosystem, but then get direct ability or direct access to actually purchasing said tokens. So we've seen DEX screeners work very, very well for the Solana ecosystem, especially as we saw more transaction volume coming into the network. And so we could potentially see a very similar trend here with MELD. Okay, now that we've got the foundation laid out here, let's jump straight into the first bit of news here. Again, I mentioned the fact that I broke this down with Ken, so do check out that prior video where we discussed all of the, I think it was 18 fiat currencies that were added as support, but we now have 19 more, giving us a total of roughly about 35 to 36. So it states here, the MELD app will support 19 more fiat currencies through an expanded partnership with Unlimited Crypto. MELD will provide support in the MELD app for mobile users with a variety of different fiat and local payment methods. So this was the original announcement covering the euro, the dollar, the Hong Kong based dollar. We've got some of the Australian dollars here as well, the Thai baht. I mean, you name it, they were all basically covered here. The team's gone an extra step further, adding 18 more currencies. So again, I can't list all of these, but you may recognize this as a viewer if you're living outside of the US, where you may want support for onboarding or offboarding in your local currency. So really positive news coming in from MELD about that. Next, we've got updates around the bridge, which is also known as Akamon. Now, before we talk about Akamon, I have to highlight the fact that MELD already has an existing bridge partnership through Chainport. So when you download the MELD app, which is their flagship product, you can basically go ahead and bridge or move assets through Chainport, but you're doing it all directly from within their application. So you're not actually interacting with the user interface or the front end of Chainport, but those bridges or those swaps between different ecosystems or networks are going through the Chainport bridge. Now, a while back, and it's crazy how quickly time flies, the MELD team had basically developed a proprietary bridge, or a bridge that they owned themselves, called the Akamon Bridge. That was paused in order to focus more or less on lending and borrowing. And we now have the reintroduction of the Akamon Bridge to now have a secondary option if you want to bridge between MELD, Cardano, Avalanche, or Ethereum. So this breaks down the fact that the MELD bridge is officially live, where you can now bridge tokens to MELD much faster, much more easily, and a lot cheaper, powered by Akamon. So you've now got your own choice or your own two options when it comes to bridging back and forth. Now, to better understand exactly what is available, you have the ability to bridge between the MELD ecosystem and Cardano, between the MELD ecosystem and Ethereum, and then between the MELD ecosystem and Avalanche. Now, keep in mind that MELD will be supported or will support assets from other chains as well, but those will have to be bridged presumably through Chainport, as right now it's not currently available to be bridging through Akamon. Now, in terms of the assets that can actually be bridged, that includes the MELD token, of course, the Avalanche or the AVAX token, ETH, USDT, ADA or Cardano, USDC, and DAI. So pretty big tokens here. I mean, the three ecosystems that they support, MELD, AVAX, and ADA, ETH, of course, and then we've got stablecoins, USDT, USDC, and DAI. Now, one thing you'll notice here is that we also have support for the bank managers, which I talked to Ken about that during my latest interview. Make sure to go and check that out. But you can also bridge your NFTs as well. So the official bridge is available at bridge.meld.com. From here, it's pretty simple. You click on this option here. You can connect your EVM-based wallet or your Cardano wallet. From there, you can then see all the assets within your wallet. And then you can pick the destination chain where you want to send your assets to. And then you can select exactly the quantity of whatever assets you want to send. And then you can go ahead and complete or confirm that transaction. Now, if you want to go ahead and bridge NFTs, you can just click on this option down here where it says MELD NFTs. And just like that, you've got quick access to see exactly what NFTs are in which wallet from whichever chain you've got connected to the current bridge. So I think that's it there when it comes to bridging. I do want to quickly highlight some additional assets from the Cardano community that have also been added into the traditional MELD app. So there's now support for the NMaker token. There's also support for the Genius Yield token or GENS. And then last but not least, support for Iagon's IAG token. So a lot of people, again, have mentioned the fact that MELD has left Cardano, but this is a clear indicator that's not the case. They're continuously working on Cardano-based infrastructure, and they're continuously adding more Cardano-based assets to be usable within their wallet. Keep in mind, you can also stake to Cardano stake pools directly from within the MELD app as well. And again, there's support for the bank managers, the diamond hands, all of that good stuff. So I won't harp too much on that there, but I know that that's typically a point that people like to mention about MELD and them basically not supporting Cardano, which of course is not accurate. Okay, the next piece I want to jump into is the weekly dev diary. These are released, I believe, once every Monday. Really, really good, interesting stuff here. A lot of it focusing on Fiat and the mobile application. But I wanted to quickly touch on a couple of sentences here that really, really stood out. So one of them states here that they've deployed Fiat services to production for testing. And then a second portion here states that the team has officially managed to successfully exchange Fiat to crypto, and then from there made a cross-chain crypto-to-crypto swap, including their MELD token on the MELD chain. So we're getting more mentions of the mainnet. If you missed it, the audit has been completed. MELD has passed with flying colors. They've made a couple of minor updates, but the majority of the scores were, I believe, 95% and above. That goes for the quality of the code, the documentation, the security, etc. Now, the fact that the MELD team is beginning to make swaps lets me know that we're now closer than ever to finally getting the actual mainnet product live. I know a lot of people have been anxiously and patiently waiting. It seems like the moment could be happening anytime within the next maybe 1 to 2 months, as we're getting more of these updates talking about actually successfully exchanging fiat to crypto and then crypto to crypto. Now, scrolling down here for anybody who's within the Cardano community, you know very well that we're awaiting the chain hard fork, which introduces Cardano node version 9.1.0. And we see that the team at MELD has updated their Cardano API or their Cardano node endpoint to version 9.1.0. So the team is definitely doing what they need to do in order to stay compliant and in order to stay updated when it comes to the biggest hard fork here introducing governance in Cardano. Next, we've got defined on MELD. So I try to save the best here, hopefully for last, but a lot of people are probably familiar with DEX screeners. These are very, very popular tools that allow for you to scan multiple crypto ecosystems with just a couple of clicks. You're then able to actually drill in and see all of the ecosystem assets in addition to trading the core or the governance token for that particular chain. So for example, with Solana, using a DEX screener, you can jump in there, you can trade SOL, but then you can also trade any other meme coin or any other native asset that is available on the Solana ecosystem. Now, this is great because you can basically get access to numerous networks on one single platform. And once you connect your wallet, you can make the swap directly from there without necessarily having to dig into the rabbit hole of figuring out, how to actually operate or work within the Solana ecosystem. So we've got MELD partnering up with Defined, and their job is to basically be a DEX screener. So they've already got support for numerous chains. I'm going to jump onto their platform here in just a minute. But it states that Defined is an on-chain DEX and analytics tool that has integrated the MELD blockchain. Soon, you'll be able to trade all of the MELD-20 tokens or the MELD native assets with detailed statistics and a lot more coming. So heading over to the official website, it's available at defined.com, or excuse me, defined.fi. And looking on the left-hand side there, we've got support for Ethereum, Solana, Arbitrum, Base, Optimism, Blast, Avalanche. I mean, all of the biggest blockchains here. Now, one thing that the Cardano ecosystem has struggled with is to be integrated into platforms like this. As you guys can see, I mean, jumping into any of these ecosystems, for example, like Base, I should hopefully be able to get some of the top meme coins here, right? So we've got Brett, Degen, Benji. And if I jump over to Ethereum, I would assume I'll get access to like Pepe, Brat, there's Pepe, there's Link. I mean, this makes swapping and trading so much easier. So if I click on that there, as you'll see here, I can see that this will be trading on ETH on the Uniswap V2 DEX. I've got all of the recent stats here, all the recent trades, and then I can actually put in a buy or a sell order. So imagine all of the MELD ecosystem tokens also being listed here with MELD as an actual blockchain. This goes again to show you guys that MELD is more than just a banking protocol. They're an entire ecosystem. One thing that Ken mentioned here during my last interview with them is the fact that a lot of platforms have basically tried to build an ecosystem focused solely on banking and solely on DeFi. And that tends to not work because you're attracting competition to what your core offering is. So imagine MELD building out an ecosystem, but then only focusing on DeFi and banking. That would only invite competitors to MELD in their ecosystem. Instead, what they've done is take an approach to where they just basically want to build an agnostic ecosystem. So if DeFi and banking protocols want to come in, that's great. Obviously, MELD will still be sort of the front runner in their own ecosystem. But as more projects come in, NFT-based projects, Oracle-based projects, infrastructure-based projects, DePIN projects, meme tokens come in, you're going to have just a naturally thriving ecosystem. And as those tokens want more exposure, if everybody's plugged in and MELD's already integrated into DeFi, people can now get access to those MELD tokens much quickly or much faster than having to dive into the native or the official platforms themselves. So this sort of acts as an aggregator, right? Very similar to something, for example, like DEX Hunter or ADA Markets for anybody who's within the Cardano community. We're able to jump into one platform that then is able to sort of scan all of the liquidity pools and get you the best price. So this does just that, really bringing MELD among some of the other ecosystems. And then from an exposure standpoint, this increases that by a lot. So let me know what you guys think down below. That will do it here for today's update, breaking down my recent 2 interviews with Ken Oling, touching on additional fiat support, talking about the MELD Akamon Bridge, supported currencies, the fact that the team has now undergone a successful test for a crypto to fiat and then a crypto to crypto transaction, as well as the integration here for Defined. If you found any portion of today's video to be helpful, right, or informational, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. It's one of the best ways to support me here as a content creator. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, breaking down everything going on with MELD, consider subscribing. And then last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave those down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.